So in the beginning, 1:3, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. God divided the light from the darkness. Now, John 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Now, the cross, cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. Times of the crucifixion and anagrams. News, north, east, west, and south. New, north, east, west. So, south, east, and west. Sown, south, east, west, and north. Also sounds like sown, S-O-W-N, like sown seeds. Now, the Jews go by watches. Third watch is our 9 a.m. Their sixth watch is noon. Their ninth watch is our 3 p.m. And can you notice that they're opposites, where our 3 is actually a 9, and vice versa. Satan likes to switch it all around and confuse you. I also noticed that at 3 p.m., the start of the crucifixion, he is the way. At noon, or the sixth watch, right, he is the truth. And there was 3 hours of darkness, okay, showing that he was the Son of God, he is God. And at the ninth watch, or 3 p.m., he is the life. What happened at the ninth hour, or 3 p.m.? He took up the sour wine on a hyssop, put it to his mouth, and he said, "It is finished." And he gave up the ghost. He gave up his life. He died. But yet, he is the life. Notice that when he died, we can have life. So, look at the meanings. Watch this. You look at the directions and the points on the cross. I added these things to help understanding. The good news. What is the good news? It's the gospel. That he died for us, shed his blood, and rose 3 days later. Okay? And then you can see the corresponding north, east, west, and south. And it spells news, right? Sow, like for sowing seeds, or SEW, to sow a cloth, right? You put new wine in a new wine sack, or it'll burst. You can't sew a new piece of cloth to an old one, it'll rip and tear. Okay? There's sow, S-O-W-N, sow seeds, right? The good seeds, Matthew 13, the wheat and the tares, and the last one, new, a new life. That's the resurrection. So you can see that there's good news, sowing the seeds, and we are grafted into the branch, or sown or adopted sons and daughters. We are given new life through him, through his resurrection and the shedding of his blood. Now, God created everything through Yeshua. That's Jesus. And you can read these, about being the Word, the light. Nicholas Tesla said that words are light. Well, he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, and those are the things that God reveals to us. Think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibrations. Words are light and energy, frequencies, and vibrations. Light is a form of vibration or frequency. So is sound. You wouldn't be hearing me if I couldn't speak out of my mouth. And you wouldn't hear me if you didn't have an eardrum vibrating and making sense to your brain. Now notice, I say by intervals of Trinity because you look at the empty space, it's 0, 3, 6, 9, and 12. And you can see 0 plus 3, 3. 3 plus 3, 6. 6 plus 3, 9. 9 plus 3, 12. What's 12? 1 plus 2 is 3. Notice that it's 3 in between each one adds up to the next number, next column. He's showing not only on the watches, the times of the 3rd watch, the 6th watch, and the 9th watch. And when he died, there was a great earthquake, and the Roman centurion said, this must be the Son of God, that God puts his Trinity, Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, in there. But it's hidden. You wouldn't see it unless I laid out the math. Now, Nicholas Tesla also said 3, 6, and 9 are the only numbers that can exist as energy without losing their identity. Now, Jesus said, I lay down my life and I will take it up again. No one takes it from me. Notice in Psalms 119, the word is the lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Your word. Okay? So, God also said in Isaiah 55:11 that his word would not go out void. It goes forth from his mouth. That's a vibration. It's still vibrating through the whole entire universe, the galaxy, everything that's out there. Okay? And it's going to do what he says it to do. And it will prosper in what he sent it to do. Now, you can see that at the 6th hour, great earthquake, 3 hours of darkness. Then he died, Yeshua died on the cross. And notice how Satan twists the time of a clock. And you can look at the face of a clock, and noon is 12. In the middle of the day. You can also say 12 midnight is in the middle of the night. Is that really how God designed time? You can look in Genesis, and the timing is different. So, he lays out on the cross also sunrise, when the sun comes up at sunrise, right, from the east to the west. And in the west, you can see that it's morning, Jesus was led to Mount Moriah, Golgotha, the Mountain of the Skull, I think is what it's called, which I think might be Adam's skull, but anyways, you can look at when it gets to noon, or the 6th watch, that's the north, okay? That's also when it's at directly above your head. Then it starts to get dark. Notice it goes from south to west, it starts getting brighter, and then super bright until it gets to noon, and it's full of brightness, the sun over your head. And this is a miracle that it went dark for 3 hours. Okay, so it starts to get darker, you're in the afternoon, he gave up his life, and then comes to sunset. Joseph of Arimathea went to Pontius Pilate and asked him for the body because, they wanted to get him in a tomb before sunset because it was Sabbath. So he is the light of the world. Yes. Now he says, are there not 12 hours in a day? Well, yes. And there's 12 hours of darkness. The summer solstice and I think the spring solstice, but I'm not sure. But I know the winter solstice, the longest day, maybe it's the summer solstice. I'm not sure about it, but one of those solstices is where the day is almost equal. There's almost 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness, But notice, anyone who walks during the day, what do we have during the day? Light, okay? He doesn't stumble in the dark because he's the light of the world. Who is the light of the world? Jesus said in John 18, or 8, verse 12, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. What is he speaking of? Spiritual light, Holy Spirit. Okay, now look at the location on a clock. And most people just have a cell phone, but if you look at an older clock, we hang the clock on the wall. There was a time when people wore wristwatches. We carried a clock on our wrist, and we call it a watch. Isn't that interesting that there's watches during the day and watches during the night in Jerusalem? What tells the time? The hands, the hour hand, the minute hand, and the second hand. Where was he pierced? In the hands. What did he tell Thomas? Because doubting Thomas, right, said, I won't believe unless I see the nails. Well, there's the barley harvest, the wheat harvest, and the grape harvest. The barley harvest are first in Jerusalem. They ripen first, then comes the wheat, and then in the fall, the grapes. I think that's also relating to 3 different raptures, and who's ready now, sinless, spotless bride, it's taken first, that's barley. The wheat that's taken next is the church. And then the last ones are the grapes. How do we know this? In Revelations 14, that the sickle, the second sickle is reap the harvest because the grapes are ripe, and put them into the winepress for the wrath of God. We're not appointed to wrath, but we're told to pray. Count us worthy to escape your wrath and that we may be able to stand. Stand where? Stand before him. Okay? The other disciples, right, and they wanted to see the nails. Doubting Thomas, he showed up the second time in the upper room, and Thomas was there. That's really important. The first time, 11 disciples were there, and they didn't believe, but they saw him eat, and then they believed. The next time, doubting Thomas saw the nail print in his hands and showed him the scar on his side, and then he believed. And he said, blessed are those that believe without seeing, because now, Thomas, you see, you believe. Now, I think that's really important. I think the rapture will come, and people will see that it's him, but he's not here on earth, he's in the clouds. Then they will believe, And the last group that doubted and still didn't believe it, they'll have a change of heart, change of mind. What's on the flat face of a clock? The flat surface of a clock is called a face. We will see him face to face. And he spoke to Moses face to face. Jacob, he wrestled with an angel. Then he says, I have seen God face to face. That was the angel of the Lord. I think that was Yeshua, Jesus. And in Ezekiel, he will say he will enter into judgment with us face to face. So now notice in Corinthians, I now see you in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Right now, everyone in the body gets a little snippet, whether a vision, a dream, a word, and we're to come together as a whole, whether, like an example, I'm a hand or an eye or a foot or an elbow. but we all consist of the body. The Spirit gives different gifts to different parts of the body, but yet he works it all to the glory of God. When we see Jesus face to face, Yeshua, then we will know. Okay? Notice the number 6. And also in the book of Revelations, the number of the man is 666. But that, I think, is a Muslim term, and you can look it up, the name, but I won't go into that. At the 6th hour, there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. 6 and 9, that was 3 hours. That's a miracle alone. Anybody who was standing there at the crucifixion and that happened, there should be no doubt, right? In Amos, it shall come to pass in that day that I will make the sun go down at noon, or the 6th watch, and I will darken the earth in broad daylight. Was he referring to the crucifixion or another future event which happens in Revelations? Joel saw this, said the sun and the moon shall be darkened, the stars shall withdraw their shining. Okay, and in Revelations 6:12. See, there it is, 6 and 12. What's 6 plus 6? 12. What's 12? The two digits, 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay. And I looked, and he opened up the 6th seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake. The earthquake comes first, and the sun became black darkness as sackcloth, and the moon became as blood. Now this seal, the 6th seal, there's a great earthquake, then the sun and the moon become, could be a volcano. I mean, who knows, right? But at the crucifixion, it went dark first. Then at the 9th hour, when Yeshua died, there was a great earthquake, and the tombs were opened and the dead were raised. Darkness over the land. 3 hours. What is 3 hours? Well, if an hour is 60 minutes, 6 times 3 is 18, or 180 minutes. But a 0 is empty, so we have an 18. Here's the Bible verses that throughout the Bible talk about north, south, east, and west. Or it goes east, west, and north and south. But you can notice in Isaiah, do not fear, I am with you. I will bring my offspring from the east. I will gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up. And to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Where is he gathering us to? To him. I think, a lot of people think this is, the Jews going back into Israel. I look at this and go, that's the rapture in the Old Testament. Well, what do I mean? He's going to come down in the clouds with the voice of the archangel at the last trumpet and cry out, come. In Revelations chapter 22, the Holy Spirit and the bride say, come, right? In Revelations, in the New Jerusalem, there's 3 gates, and they're made of a solid pearl on each side, on the east, the north, the south, and the west. And I wrote down here the numbers corresponding to the news, sown, or so, and sown, and new. I love you guys. See you in the next video.